Welcome back, YouTubers, to Q&A 214 with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
I am Mr. Parkin, otherwise known as Dan, and this right here is Mr. J, otherwise known as NJ.
What's up?
And that's definitely a Seamus shirt, right? It's a Seamus shirt.
Disrespect to the Heartbreak Kid.
I didn't know that was Seamus' new name.
Shawn Michaels.
Oh, sorry. It just kind of, to me, it looks like the kind of design that you would get from a Seamus shirt. If you take that out, I'd say that was a Seamus shirt. Just saying. Anyway, keep asking us questions in the comment section. We're going to get to the questions as quickly as possible because we have a lot to get through. The first few questions come from Paul Erickson Alejandrino. Apparently, we're the only people that pronounce his name right, so that's good. It's a good job I did Spanish, isn't it? And, yeah, a very regular question asker here. What are your thoughts on Neville's match of Seth Rollins on Raw? This is going back some time, isn't it? I'm going to go with me on this one. No, because I didn't even watch it. Go on. Let me guess. Let me guess. It was a great match, which Neville lost, and it never mattered afterwards.
No, this close, Neville could have beaten our WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I'm not sure if that's saying that Seth Rollins is not that good, or if that is saying that there's more to Neville than the WWE is allowing us to see from him. I'm not sure what it's saying, but I thought it was a good match. Yes, the WWE are not going to put him into the main event slot because of that match, but I enjoyed it.
Here's my problem. You know, and we got to look at it like this, in my opinion, on a consistency basis, right? So, Seth Rollins barely beat Neville.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins barely beat Dean Ambrose.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins has barely beaten many other mid-carders / undercarders in the WWE. So why the fuck should we buy him as any viable contender to a Brock Lesnar who's destroyed The Undertaker, who's destroyed John Cena, who's destroyed many others in his path?
We're not going to.
Just saying. So I think this match does show how bad Seth Rollins is from a booking standpoint. Great match, don't get me wrong. I mean, I heard it was a great match, but shouldn't a world champion Seth Rollins be defeating a guy like Neville who's only just debuted on the roster quite easily? If he's a world champion, just saying.
Expect so.
But, you know, if you're going to put Neville's name out there, then this is what you had to do. I'm just looking at it from a more sort of casual standpoint. Have you heard that Daniel Bryan is injured again? Do you think he's going to retire soon? Yeah, we heard about that pretty good. I mean, word travels fast when Daniel Bryan's injured on the internet. I heard it was something concussion related, so it's nothing to do with his neck. But, you know, you do think now that with that, he didn't really have surgery on his neck. He went and had a witch doctor go and sort it out. And you do wonder now, with all these injuries coming his way, whether he is going to just have to retire soon and whether it's going to be best for his health. And I'd hate to see Daniel Bryan come back to wrestle and then have a life-threatening neck injury. So I think, for his own health safety, you'd think he'd have to retire soon. But I think even if he did, he'd still have a place in the company, in my opinion, whether it's as a trainer, as possibly an announcer,
advertiser,
an advertiser, perhaps.
I mean,
he's on Tough Enough. He's still on Total Divas, I think, isn't he?
Maybe.
Yeah, he is a Total Diva. So, I mean, there's still other roles. I think WWE will still give him another role, even though his main role should be wrestling.
The thing about Daniel Bryan is, as soon as we see him come back to the WWE, fans are going to want to see him fight for the championship.
He gets a push, and then he gets injured.
That's it. So, him to come back, I think it's a risk for the WWE to think, where shall we put him? Yes, he'll probably be back for the Intercontinental, which he lost. He had to surrender, sorry. But I think, yeah, Dolph Ziggler's had many concussions and timeouts. Barrett's start to be up there. So you would think Daniel Bryan deserves another chance. But I think with Daniel Bryan as a main eventer, or fans wanting to see him as a main eventer, it wouldn't be fair to bring him back, tease him to come back, and never fulfill where fans want him to be.
Yeah, and, look at it. And, I know there are a lot of Daniel Bryan fans out there that, you should go into the main event. Well, I mean,
surprising.
Well, I didn't know there were that many.
No.
But, just put yourself in the WWE shoes. You gave this guy a push to WrestleMania 30, to a big moment that, was last minute, don't get me wrong, but afterwards, the guy got injured. And it kind of ruined all that momentum he had, and they had to change plans. They had to make Cena the champion, which no one liked, and then etc. Even though initially I think he was going to job to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, but there you go. And then they bring him back at WrestleMania, have him win the IC Championship, and he gets injured again. not Daniel Bryan's fault necessarily. It may be his in-ring style. Maybe he needs to adjust that a little bit. But if you were WWE, would you give him an extended push from now on?
No! And somehow, I think it's John Cena's fault.
Always is, doesn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Now that AJ Lee has left the WWE, do you think she'll follow Punk in the UFC? Or is that Cena's fault as well?
Oh, Punk leaving has to be Cena's fault because Cena pushed it out and saying, "No, I'm the top guy in the company. Get out." So I'm saying it's John Cena's fault.
I just have this image of John Cena saying that, "No, I'm the top guy. You can fuck off."
Yes, that's his words.
I just have the image of that happening. It probably never did.
It did. But as for AJ Lee, schoolgirl, her small, slender body in UFC where people are going to be ripping her apart. She's not going to go there. She won't be in the crowd going, "Punk, Punk, Punk," with a, pom-pom, doing that. But no, she's not going to get involved, no.
No, I don't think she'll be involved in UFC. I think she'll just, now that Punk is he's quite wealthy, I'd imagine, after the lawsuit and, with his contract in UFC, and they're probably having a kid. I don't really know. You probably know more about that than me, but I don't think she'll go to UFC. I think she'll just sort of follow CM Punk and just sort of be his manager type person. I don't really know. If CM Punk didn't quit WWE, what do you think would be his position in the company? I still think he would be a top guy. I mean, to be honest, his contract was running out in June, and you'd think the way WWE were treating him that he may have left anyway because he didn't seem to be really too happy with the WWE. If he was going to quit then he would have just let his contract run out and just worked the end. But if he didn't quit WWE, I still think that WWE would have had to have had him as a main eventer. I mean, you couldn't just stick a guy like that in a mid card, could you?
I think he would have been in the main event scene, but yeah, John Cena stepped down to go to the mid card. But I think Punk still wanted more from his main event time in the WWE. But he's one of the names that's pretty much done all. He faced The Rock, he faced Brock Lesnar, he faced The Undertaker.
Everyone.
So he had pretty much done it all. So yeah, he would have stayed in and been a main eventer. But what would he have gone and done next?
Good point. Tim Crace, should WWE bring back One Night Stand? I thought that was Extreme Rules. It started off as One Night Stand, then became Extreme Rules. But no, because it's got something to do with ECW, and let's let TNA do stupid shit like that, please.
Yeah.
Do you think Mr. Perfect should have been WWE champion? Probably. But the problem is he suffered so many injuries that WWE couldn't, really trust a guy to hold a belt like that. And generally, WWE at the time liked having babyface champions, and Mr. Perfect was never really a babyface when he was in his prime with the company.
I'm not sure much of his time, but I think with his name, his popular name, you'd probably expect him to have had the main championship in his time, but I don't think he was fulfilling that.
Do you think WWE should have had Ultimate Warrior versus Jake the Snake? At some point, yes. And I was actually doing some research here to see if they actually had a match, but I don't think they did. But you'd think would be one of the matches that they would have done while both of them were kind of in their prime in the WWE. It's a shame they never did, but really just consequences. I reckon Ultimate Warrior was out of the company quite quickly, and Jake the Snake, suffered from drug issues and stuff like that during the early 90s, and he ended up leaving the company. So just never had the chance to happen. I mean, if Ultimate Warrior and Jake the Snake Roberts were in the WWE for 20 years, it would have obviously happened. But certain circumstances just happened that meant that it didn't.
Again, not knowing too much about the time of what they did, I think after watching the legendary DVDs that are out there to get, or on the WWE Network for $9.99, you could almost get the feeling that them two going into a feud, going to a match, would be entertaining and something that the WWF should have provided us. But I can't really give much more answer to that.
Would you like WWE to bring back In Your House? No, I think obviously at the time that was done because WWE wanted to capitalize on their, new mainstream popularity, increase in business as they thought it was from 5 pay-per-views to 12 pay-per-views a year. It didn't start off very well, but once they got into the Attitude Era, it became a bit more popular. What's the point in doing that when they've got the network now and they're doing special events? Basically In Your House shows.
If I was to do anything in in your house show would be all the non-Raws and SmackDowns that are being shown non-live. You know, things that fans are paying to go and see, while the actual Raw and SmackDowns are for what being actually aired on TV.
RFV089 asked us quite a lot of questions. Mr. Parkin, I'm about to finish my second year in university, and in September I'm going to start my third and final year. What advice would you give me on how to approach my dissertation and my final year exams? My advice, seriously, with regards to dissertation, don't do it last minute. I knew so many people in university that did their dissertation last minute, and I don't think it ended up very well for them. The thing about a dissertation is they say, oh yeah, you've got 9 months to finish it, and you think that's plenty of time, but you really want to get started on it straight away, and you want to do it bit by bit. You don't want to be doing it all at the last minute. You want to give yourself time if you need to do qualitative or quantitative data. You want to be getting interviews if you need to do. You want to be getting plenty of data for your dissertation. It depends on the subject you're doing. For me, I did a business management degree, so I had to get data from interviews. You know, you may be doing a degree which doesn't need data and stuff like that, so you only have, you just have to write a literature review or etc., stuff like that. So depending on what your subject is, I would say get started on your dissertation, get an idea sorted out very soon. Make that idea very specific so you can actually get as much information as you can about a very small subject, rather than flounder around with massive amount of information for a big subject. So thin that subject matter down. As for your final year exams, I personally didn't revise, and that was because I was getting tired of uni and I just wanted to fuck off home. But I still ended up doing well, so but I'd say definitely revise, even though I didn't. It was mainly because of my boredom for university at the time. But definitely get some revision in for those final year exams. ...
Good luck. ...
Don't do drugs. Which at university is can be pretty hard to not do. I didn't. Could you make an argument that WrestleMania 21 didn't just make 2 new main eventers, but 3 in Orton, as in my opinion, his feud and matches within Undertaker really elevated him? I mean, WrestleMania 21, didn't Edge also win Money in the Bank? You could say that they made Edge there as well. I mean, as soon as he won Money in the Bank, he became the ultimate opportunist, and that made him a star. So you could say maybe 4 stars were made during that night. Orton's feud with Undertaker did I think Orton was made by Mick Foley in 2004. So I don't know about Orton, but that definitely helped his stock. So I reckon 4 stars were made on that night.
True.
I mean, Edge, first ever Money in the Bank winner. I mean, that led to him being great. So there you go. What are your thoughts on Sheamus' return and WWE turning him heel? This return was terrible, wasn't it? The crowd didn't even pop. The crowd were like, oh, not Sheamus again. I mean, I didn't mind them turning him heel because the babyface run wasn't working, but his return was just so unimpactful.
I think the thought of Sheamus coming back was in the fans' mind. We need him to come back. We need a new heel. We need more wrestlers to come back to make different feuds, different matches. But yes, his comeback, it didn't bring any hope for the future of Sheamus. His look was bigger than his flipping comeback, and now he's gone off and became Mr. Money in the Bank. But nothing in his return made us think, I really want to see him back in the main event. I really do.
And they put him in a fucking storyline with Dolph Ziggler. I mean, what a fantastic, interesting way to introduce a heel back to your company. Giving him a fucking feud with Dolph fucking Ziggler. And then having him win Money in the Bank. Oh boy.
No.
Just saying. Mr. Parkin, don't you think that Qatar getting the World Cup is stupid? They don't have a footballing culture. They've never played at a World Cup before. They won the World Cup on the premise of a lie and also bribed FIFA officials to get the World Cup, and yet no criminal investigation has been carried out despite clear indications of bribes being offered to Sepp Blatter and FIFA officials. Well, this question was probably asked before the FBI actually investigated this, and since then Sepp Blatter has said he's going to resign as FIFA president or whatever, which is a fucking good thing for the sport. Even NJ knows, and you don't even like football. I think it's going to get to the point now where they're going to investigate all these bribes, and if there were bribes, in fact, they should probably not do a World Cup in Russia or Qatar, because if the voting was based on bribes, then there shouldn't be a World Cup there. having the fucking World Cup in Qatar is stupid enough in the sense that it's 40 plus degrees. They're going to have to do the World Cup during winter, which has never been done before, and will throw the fixture list on fucking standby for the whole of Christmas. If that was not stupid enough, and we found out the way that Qatar actually get the World Cup is through a series of fucking bribes, which, let's face it, we all knew had to happen anyway, because who the fuck is going to vote for Qatar, like you said, a country with no footballing culture, who've never played at a World Cup before, who've never qualified for a World Cup, like you said. So it's completely stupid. It's been all over the news since, and I know you, and RFV089, you have definitely seen the news on this. So it's stupid, but hopefully it'll be rectified in good time. What are your thoughts on the fans on the Raw after WrestleMania making sexist chants while the Divas are wrestling? Come on, it's wrestling fans for you, isn't it? I mean, if the wrestling fans don't like something, they'll hijack a show. If they don't like a match, they'll chant anything but the match. And, while it is entertaining, it is kind of petty, in my opinion, especially if you're chanting sexist shit at Divas.
The thing is, the main part of your question stood out, the Raw after WrestleMania. The chants always, Raw after WrestleMania, are mixed up mess that's sometimes good. Sometimes the chant was CM Punk loudly. Sometimes it's Jerry Lawler. The crowd there are crazy. So yes, it's quite wrong with what they did. But fans will chant anything. Next time, you might hear, British Fist! British Fist!
Yeah, doubt that. Maybe Solar Monster or something, I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, sexist chants, don't need it. Especially with this whole, especially with Stephanie McMahon being such a big integral part of the WWE and being this whole proponent of strong females and, and give Divas a chance and we care about our Divas division. Just don't need shit like that. We really don't. What are your thoughts on X-Pac's recent comments that China had lied about being raped? Don't really know what to say about it because I don't know anything about the story, unfortunately.
And I think, to be honest, I didn't know much about it either, and I should, because he's always on the internet and stuff, but wrestlers that have left the company, they're always throwing something out there to get themselves reheard. So for the X-Pac to speak on behalf of someone he was once close to, because China's got down different routes, okay, more media.
Yeah, John Lee for X-Pac, who gets no fucking. There's a reason why there's such a thing as X-Pac heat. John Lee, we're gonna probably go a bit over. We're gonna have a bit of an overrun on this because 20 minutes isn't enough.
No way.
3 hours is enough though. John Lee, do you see Brock Lesnar facing Seth Rollins at SummerSlam? There's a potential that they will both face each other in some way or form at SummerSlam, but they've decided to have Brock Lesnar's return match at Battleground.
I'm sorry about this. If we did go with the idea of something happening at SummerSlam, Brock and Seth would be ideal for me, even though we've said earlier that Seth Rollins isn't really exciting enough to be up against Brock Lesnar. But that does lead the match that I'm waiting for, which is not a part of your question, Roman Reigns and Triple H. Give me that fucking match.
You've been waiting for that match for like a year and a half now, haven't you?
Yeah.
If WCW were to win the Monday Night Wars, would the wrestling industry be it would be different because the wrestling industry would be dominated by people that had no idea what they were fucking doing in the business. WCW, there's a reason why they went out of business.
John Cena killed them.
Well, it's always John Cena's fault. Yeah. World War II would have been John Cena's fault if it was up to you.
Don't say out loud.
I'm just saying. It would be very different. Yeah. The people behind the scenes would, there wouldn't even be a wrestling industry now, I don't think, if WCW were around. You saw the way they mismanaged. They were run by people that had no idea how to run a wrestling show. And I know the main reason they went was because of the AOL merger deal they had with Time Warner, etc., and Ted Turner not being part of that anymore and them not wanting wrestling on the show. But at the end of the day, they still couldn't get a TV deal with anyone else. And there's a reason for that. It's because they were on a downhill slope and they were never making a profit. They were always making a loss. So just imagine that, winning the Monday Night Wars and then doing the rest of the wrestling industry wouldn't fucking exist anymore. No. Do you think, and NJ, you wouldn't watch because you never liked WCW anyway.
No.
Because it reminded you of what?
Bang! Whoop! Bang!
I'm surprised WWE doesn't do that with their PG product. I really am. Do you think Roman Reigns would be a great heel? Yes, I think he could be a great babyface or a great heel. But if he aligned himself with the authority, then he'd be a legit heel, in my opinion.
I think with the idea of, again, I keep going back to old stories. Roman Reigns was meant to be up there with John Cena, top face and stuff. But I think when you look at the three members of the Shield, as much as we all have our different opinion on who could have been the heel, I think seeing a heel like Roman Reigns could work, but at the same time, him battling as a face, going against the big heels possible, has some direction for him.
He was pretty badass as a heel, though, wasn't he, when he was in the Shield?
Oh,
I mean, Rollins and Dean Ambrose were good, don't get me wrong, very good, you may say, but Roman Reigns was a badass in the Shield.
Yeah, I get that, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree with me. Do you know what, John Lee? I'm going to do something here. I'm going to make you wait till next week till we answer the next set of questions.
More!
Let's just keep John Lee hanging for a week.
The crowd are cheering.
What crowd? It's just us in my bedroom.
Don't put it here.
Shut up. We'll answer your questions next week, John Lee.
Sorry.
We just want to keep you waiting because, well, it's kind of fun. Plus, it will give you a reason to watch next week as well. And you've actually asked us some pretty good questions, so we'd like to open our next Q&A with your, I think, 5 or 6 questions that you've asked us. But anyway, sorry about that, John Lee. But that's the way the cookie crumbles on here, I'm afraid.
Best for business.
Yeah, this is definitely what's best for business. We give the fans what they want. Half of their questions answered on one Q&A, the other half on the other. Anyway, that's been it for another Q&A. Q&A 214. I'm going to let MJ, because I seem to be decent at the intros, and he seems to be
millions of dollars.
It's how much we're making from YouTube right now.
Oh, it is. Yeah. We shouldn't be saying that loud. We can get feedback, negative feedback from YouTube for saying out loud.
No, I've got a new one. Millions of pennies. Actually, that's still a lot of money. Millions of 0.00001 pennies. Millions of no.
Not that poor. Anyway, people, thank you very much for watching. This has been an entertaining video. There's been so many more questions. Sorry we didn't do more, but decisions are passed. No, not.
Sorry, we have to go back and censor that now, don't we? Because I just flipped someone off.
Yeah, you're trying to get us kicked off YouTube. But thank you very much for watching, YouTubers. And till next time, goodbye.